Reese Riley from Kiwi Talks. He follows me. Oh, I didn't notice. That's cool. He follows me. Well, he does a lot of developer interviews. He's probably best known, at least in Nintendo circles, for his interviews with Retro Studios employees. He seems to be a pretty good source of little nuggets related to the Metroid Prime games. In particular, his show has really turned up a lot of really interesting stuff. And usually everything that he posts, comes from these interviews. I don't know how often he dips into true rumor/leak territory, but at least right now, he seems to be going out on a limb. He seems to potentially have some sort of inside information about Metroid Prime 4. Now, I really don't know where we're at with Metroid Prime 4. I really expected there to be like a full reveal before the Switch 2 presentation, because we have reason to believe that it is just a Switch 1 game. We do not yet have any real reason to believe that it's going to be a cross-gen title, and it's certainly not going to be just a Switch 2 exclusive, as much as I would love that. So, I really don't know where Nintendo is at with it, because, the Switch 2 is going to launch, and that's going to be a big thing. There's going to be all these big new games, and then they're trying to market this Switch 1 game. I'm, a little bit worried about it, but I really did anticipate that they would reveal something before the Switch 2 presentation, because you would think that that was going to be focused completely on Switch 2. Nintendo treated the Switch 1 similarly. They still had 3DS games coming out, but they rarely put those things in the same presentation, like the January 2017 Switch presentation that was all about Switch. E3 2017, their big Nintendo Direct, they did not even mention 3DS games. They revealed other 3DS games outside of there, so I didn't know if they were going to do the same thing here. I know it may be a little bit different because, Switch 2, so Switch 1 to Switch 2, it may be a little bit more natural and comfortable to talk about all these games as still kind of existing in the same ecosystem, whatever, all that to say, it's weird they haven't revealed it yet, so that means that there is a chance that they will be revealing it in the Switch 2 presentation, which makes me think that there is going to be some sort of cross-gen thing, at the very least, a performance patch, a performance boost mode, so that when you play it on Switch 2, it looks better. I don't know. Back to the point, Reese seems to believe that Nintendo has got something pretty big planned for Metroid Prime 4, and for Metroid Prime 4 during the Switch 2 presentation. He says in a social media post, "In less than a month, in the Switch 2 Direct, you'll see that Nintendo and Retro were keeping their cards close to their chest with Metroid Prime 4 for this exact moment. The true unveiling will blow everything else in the Direct out of the water." Then in a later reply, he says, "Nintendo are constantly tweaking Directs right down to the last minute, but as of now, I am 90% certain it will be in the Direct." So yeah, we don't know where this is coming from. It definitely feels like he is putting this out there with the intention of impressing upon us that this is coming from a place of knowledge. And as usual, rumors where it's just a guy saying a thing, you always got to take it with a grain of salt. But I think the confidence here is what's got my attention, because, Reese is not the kind of guy who just throws out rumors left and right, not one of those rumor mongers. No, usually this stuff is coming from a real place. It's coming from actually, talking to developers. Doesn't mean that he's right. Doesn't mean that he does have a trusted source. If he has a source that he believes is a correct source, that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is correct. It could be that he's just got the wrong idea, but he seems to be pretty darn confident. And again, that's really what I'm looking at here. And if all of this is true, then that would be very interesting because, yeah, like I said, I don't know where Nintendo is at with Metroid Prime 4. I don't know if it's possible for Metroid Prime 4 to make a big enough splash amid all of the Switch 2 stuff. Samus Returns launching right at the end of the 3DS's life when the Switch was already in full swing. That did not do it any favors. And again, I know it's a little bit different because now we're going from Switch 1 to Switch 2, but it still has me kind of worried. But according to Reese, It's gonna be a really, really big reveal, and it seems like they have been waiting for this moment. They've been waiting for the reveal of the Switch 2 to give us a full reveal of Metroid Prime 4. And that right there, if that's true, it really does mean that they have a lot up their sleeves. It means that there is something about this game that we are just not getting, or I don't know, maybe even just the scope of the game is a lot bigger than we imagined. I really don't know. My mind does go to cross-gen stuff. It kind of just has to. Why would you wait specifically until the big full reveal of your new system to give everybody another look at a game for your old system? It just doesn't really make sense. It's certainly possible that even if it is just a Switch 1 title and there is no major cross-gen stuff, could it just be that the game itself is that impressive? It's just, they are just that confident in the way that the game looks and how it's going to appeal to people that it doesn't matter that it's not on the Switch 2. We're still going to reveal it during the Switch 2 presentation because we know that everybody is going to be watching. We know that everyone's going to watch that. They're all super duper excited. So here you go. Here's also the trailer for Metroid Prime 4. I really don't know. But yeah, if it's true that Nintendo is waiting for then, it's got to mean something. But that's not the only interesting thing to extract from his post here. The biggest thing is that he says the true unveiling will blow everything else in the Direct out of the water. He is far, far out on that limb. That limb is groaning under his weight. You can barely call what he's on a limb at this point. He's on the final little twigs and leaves. That is a really, really big claim because, like, what are we gonna get on the April 2nd Switch 2 Direct? We're gonna get a bunch of game reveals. We're gonna get a bunch, like a whole bunch of them. Right now, what Nintendo games are confirmed for Switch 2? Well, it's a great big zero. We have nothing. Nintendo is gonna wanna show off games that were, launch games, for one, other games that are launching throughout the rest of this year, including the holiday season, and they will probably dip into some stuff for next year and beyond as well. This is going to be like the January 2017 presentation. The most, like, just raw, straight out of the ether, brand new game reveals. Just the most that you could ever anticipate in any presentation. More than we will get in any other Nintendo Direct moving forward. This is always going to be the biggest bunch of games. And what are these games going to be? They're going to be next-gen Nintendo games. They're basically going to be Nintendo games, first-party ones, running on a PS4 approximate amount of power. Have you seen PS4, Xbox One games? They can look very, very, very good. I'm basically certain that they're going to reveal a new Mario game, a new 3D Mario game. It's probably going to be the biggest, most grand 3D Mario ever. What else could they give us? They could give us any number of surprises, any other games from any other of their major series. This is just it's going to be the biggest Nintendo presentation, potentially. Maybe I shouldn't get my hopes up, but it's probably going to be the biggest Nintendo presentation of the last decade. The only other contender being the January 2017 Switch presentation. This is huge. So to claim that Metroid Prime 4 is going to blow everything else in the Direct out of the water, it's just a very big claim. It's a very, very big thing to say. Now, it must be said, the claim that Metroid Prime 4 will blow everything else in the Direct out of the water, that is a subjective assessment. Maybe it'll be a really great reveal, but you couldn't say, like, objectively, it's going to blow everything else out of the water. Maybe not everyone will feel that way. We don't know if Mr. Riley has perhaps seen something, maybe really does have inside information. Maybe he's even seen a trailer or something. Or perhaps this is just word on the grapevine. Maybe this is just what people are saying about the game. But yeah, if it is a Switch 1 game, it would be a little bit surprising. However, it is also worth noting that, like, if any game from Nintendo is going to wow graphically, it's probably gonna be a Metroid Prime game. You know, like, those games, you know, historically, they've just had such incredible graphics. Like Metroid Prime 1, I still think, even in its non-remastered state, I just think it's one of the prettiest things that Nintendo has ever made. Metroid Prime Remastered proves that Retro Studios still pretty much knows what they're doing when it comes to development and optimization and all that. And most of Nintendo's games are, you know, a little more colorful, a little more stylish, and you know, like Mario and Zelda, those will all get really nice, pretty games, top of the line graphics and all that stuff. But Metroid Prime, like, if anything, if any series is their, like, photorealistic series, it's Metroid. It's a little less cartoony. It's a little more realistic, and of course, it's all sci-fi, so it's all about just, like, the tech and the lighting and the effects and the mix between the sci-fi elements and the natural elements. So yeah, it is true that if any first-party Nintendo game is going to just look really super incredible, yeah, it's gonna be Metroid. Maybe it is possible that even with the Switch 2 coming, a really amazing looking Metroid Prime just on Switch 1, it may still be just that impressive. I don't know. And you know what? I'm looking at this in terms of graphics, but it could be that there's something else about it that will blow everything else out of the water. Maybe just the game just looks that good. You know, in terms of just like scope and features and mechanics. It's possible that they've just got a really, really big, great game on their hands that just looks really, really fantastic. I mean, they've been working on it long enough. They've certainly been working on it long enough, and all of the news stories have been going on and on about how they're hiring all of these, like, big AAA devs from all of these other AAA studios. People who have worked on some of the biggest and craziest and prettiest games that have ever been made, and they're all working on Metroid Prime 4 right now. So, I mean, sure, if it turned out that all of those investments kind of paid off, yeah, maybe I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, we do have to just wait and see. It's just really interesting to see how confident Mr. Riley is. I'm trying to not get my hopes up about anything surrounding Metroid Prime 4. Obviously, I'm out of my mind excited to play it. But, you know, I don't know how it'll end up being, and I've been disappointed by games before, and I think I'm naturally, I tend to be a little more cautious, a little more cautiously optimistic about games. As I've said a million times, slightly worried about, like, the conditions under which it's launching. So yeah, I'm trying not to get my hopes up. But I won't lie, hearing this kind of confidence, it feels good, you know? It feels good. I really like the idea of living in the timeline where Nintendo manages to launch Metroid Prime 4 and in just the right way, and it ends up being a big success because it is just a really, really phenomenal game in every way, and it is so exciting that it even makes a brand new 3D Mario, the biggest one ever, seem like, yeah, you know, it was pretty good, but did you see Metroid Prime 4? Whatever the case, not long to wait now. I'm going to end every single rumor video from here until April 2nd. Just... But you know what? Well, no, pretty soon. I'll record one that we can use in each video going forward. Here it is. Whatever the case, we'll know soon enough. The April 2nd Nintendo Direct is only 15 days away.